What were we talking of in our previous class? We did all the similarities between the alkali metals and the hydrogens, the differences between the alkali metals and the hydrogens, and then we also did the similarities between the halogens and the hydrogen, and according to which there was the position of hydrogen in the periodic table that was quite controversial. So now we are going to do the differences of hydrogen with halogens. The first difference over here is its less electronegative nature. Okay. Now when we are talking of hydrogen, it is going to be very less electronegative with respect to halogens. Its tendency to form H negative ion is quite less as compared of halogens to form X negative ions. Okay, so over here halogens, they readily accept an electron to go into the negative state, whereas hydrogen does not do so. Fifth, we have second, when we are talking of nature of oxides. Now over here we've already studied that water, that is going to be neutral, but it is seen that the oxides of chlorine, like we are talking of Cl2O7 over here, this is going to be acidic in nature. Okay? So this is going to be acidic, whereas H2O, that is going to be neutral. Then there is another very important difference. While we are looking at the bonding of hydrogen and the halogens separately, it is seen that in hydrogen there is absence of unshared electrons. There is going to be absence of unshared electrons. इसका क्या मतलब हुआ कि अगर हाइड्रोजन मॉलिक्यूल बना रहा है, so we have hydrogen in which there is only one electron pair present which is going to be bonded. Whereas if fluorine is forming Cl2, it has 6 unshared electrons or lone pair of electrons which are going to be present, which is absent in hydrogen. Okay. Then hydrogen was, according to all these differences and similarities, hydrogen was allotted a separate position, and it was neither grouped with halogens nor was it grouped with alkali metals. ठीक है? फिर because of its different position, it does not disturb the symmetry of the entire periodic table. Otherwise, we know that in the periodic table we are grouping the elements together because of its same physical and chemical properties. Or there is going to be a variation in physical properties and the chemical properties that is going to be same. So that symmetry of the periodic table, that is not disturbed. So the position of hydrogen is not fixed even till now. Right? So it has its own position, and that is why, we call hydrogen as Roch element. Roch over here means attractive. It is attracted by any other element. Halogens attract करते हैं, क्या कहते हैं उसको, alkali metals attract करते हैं, group 14 के साथ वो compounds बनाता है, जितने भी organic compounds हैं उन सब के साथ वो compounds बना रहा है. Therefore, it is known as Roch. Roch का जो literal meaning होता है, it is an attractive gentleman. Okay, so that is how, because it is getting attracted to everybody, all the elements in the periodic table, so it is known as a Roch element. Okay, let's go on to the discovery and occurrence of hydrogen. Okay, so when we going on to discovery and occurrence of hydrogen, it was prepared for the first time by Henry Cavendish was the scientist. Henry Cavendish, right? It was named as inflammable air. It was named as inflammable air, and Lavoisier named it hydrogen which means water maker. Hydrogen basically means water maker, right? We've already studied that it is the most abundant element in the universe and it exists in atmosphere in both free as well as combined state. Okay? Now sun's atmosphere, it contains, this also I've already spoken of, that sun's atmosphere consists of approximately 90% of hydrogen, right? Hydrogen that occurs in mineral oils, then it is present in almost all the organic compounds such as hydrocarbons, carbohydrates, fats, proteins, etc. Right? And hydrogen is also the major constituent of all acids and alkalis. You already know HCl, H2SO4, NaOH, all of them they are going to have hydrogen as one of the components. Okay? So this is the discovery, some facts about discovery and occurrence. Let's go on to the preparation of hydrogen. Preparation of hydrogen. Now there are many sources by which hydrogen can be prepared. So these sources may be water. We can get hydrogen from water. We can get hydrogen from acids, and we can also get hydrogen from bases. Okay? Now let's take, first of all, we are going to prepare hydrogen from water. Now all the metals which are going to be highly reactive, they can react with cold water to give hydrogen. So all those metals which are highly reactive, for example we have sodium. Now sodium, whenever it reacts with water, it is going to be explosive or it catches fire because of its high reactivity. Therefore we are using sodium amalgam over here. The main reason why we are taking amalgamated sodium is that this mercury, it is going to form a layer of sodium. So the exposed layer of sodium, that is going to be very, very less. Because the exposed layer of sodium is less, therefore the reactivity in this case, that is going to be controlled. Is it clear? So when we are reacting with water, it is not going to catch fire anymore. So this is how we are going to get hydrogen. Then there are certain elements or certain metals which are not very reactive. To get hydrogen from there, that we have to either react them with hot water or with steam. Metals like we have zinc plus water, this is going to produce hydrogen only when reacted with hot water. And iron reacts with steam. So Fe plus steam over here, this is going to give us Fe3O4 plus hydrogen. Right? Carbon also reacts with water, although it's not a metal, but still carbon also reacts with water to give us hydrogen in the form of water gas. Hydrogen in the form of water gas. Okay? Then we have, by the action of water on ionic hydrides. By the action of water on ionic hydrides. So ionic hydrides के साथ जब reaction होती है, it can easily give hydrogen. Ionic hydrides is NaH plus H2O. Okay. So over here it is going to give us an alkali and hydrogen. Okay. Similarly, if you are reacting this with lithium hydride, lithium hydroxide plus water. Okay, and also if you're reacting it with calcium hydride, this is known as hydrolith. So it is going to give us calcium hydroxide plus hydrogen. Okay, and then by reaction of methane and steam, by reaction of methane and steam. So methane, that is going to be CH4 plus water. This is going to give us carbon monoxide plus hydrogen. Carbon monoxide plus hydrogen. Okay? Then by electrolysis of water. By electrolysis of water. Now it is seen that pure water that does not conduct electricity. Therefore, either we have to add certain amount of a few drops of acid into it, or we need to add a few drops of alkalis into it. Okay? So in that case, let's first take the electrolysis of acidulated water. So we are taking water plus we are adding to it a few drops of H2SO4. So when electrolysis is now going to take place, H2O that is going to dissociate as H positive and OH negative. In a similar manner, H2SO4 will dissociate as 2H positive plus SO4 negative. Hydrogen that will be liberated at the cathode. So when we are looking at reaction at the cathode, hydrogen that can be liberated, and at the anode over here the reaction of OH negative that is going to take place, but the reaction of sulfate does not. That is because of the value of reduction potentials of both. So when we are looking at the reaction at anode over here, oxygen is going to be liberated at the anode. That is because of the discharge potential of SO4 negative that is going to be higher. This we've done in electrochemistry already. Okay? You've done it that in case of electrolysis, the one which has a lower value, you need not do it in +1 to quite a detail over here, because you're going to do it in +2 again. Okay? So over here you just remember that the reaction of sulfate that is not going to take place. Now if in case we are putting base into it, so what are we doing now? We are adding a little amount of potassium hydroxide. So we are adding a little amount of potassium hydroxide. In this case, what is going to be the electrolysis? We have H2O, which is going to give us H positive plus OH negative. Then we have KOH, K positive plus OH negative. ठीक है? अब यहाँ पे जब कैथोड पे रिएक्शन होगा, तो कैथोड पे पोटेशियम is not going to be liberated, right? So the reaction at cathode, the reason being same, the discharge potential value at cathode, instead of potassium, hydrogen is going to be liberated, and at anode we are going to get water plus oxygen that is going to be liberated. Okay? Is it clear? So this is the first which we've done from water. Let's go on to hydrogen from acids. Now when we're doing hydrogen from acids, we know that all those metals which are above hydrogen or more reactive than hydrogen in the reactivity series, in the reactivity series, all those metals which are more reactive than hydrogen, they react with acids to liberate hydrogen, right? For example, if you're taking magnesium plus 2HCl, this is going to give us MgCl2 plus H2, because magnesium is more reactive than hydrogen. Similarly, we have Zn plus H2SO4 to give us ZnSO4 plus H2. In fact, this is the method which we will be also using in the lab preparation of hydrogen. Okay? Then manganese and magnesium, they are going to react with HNO3. So if we're talking of magnesium over here, it reacts with stronger acid like HNO3 to give us manganese nitrate plus hydrogen. Okay? Then we have the third one, hydrogen from alkalis. From alkalis, hydrogen can be again got if we have an active metal over here like zinc. It gives sodium zincate. Okay, sodium zincate plus hydrogen. If we have aluminium, this reacts in presence of water. To give us sodium aluminate. Okay, it is going to give us sodium aluminate plus hydrogen. So these are few methods of preparation over here. But when we are preparing hydrogen in the lab, it is done by taking zinc granules and dropping over it concentrated H2SO4 to give us zinc sulfate plus H2. This is the laboratory preparation over here. Not concentrated, sorry, we are going to take dilute H2SO4. We are going to take dilute H2SO4 over here, right? Now over here the apparatus which is used, that is known as Wolfe bottle. So we take a Wolfe bottle in which we are going to take zinc granules and we are dropping dilute H2SO4 when hydrogen that is going to be liberated. Now this hydrogen that is collected by downward displacement of air because of light weight of hydrogen than air. Okay? Now over here dilute H2SO4 is not going to react with pure zinc. Therefore we put certain drops of chloroplatinic acid as impurity. We are going to put chloroplatinic acid as impurity, because pure zinc that will not react with dilute H2SO4. We can also put copper sulfate solution to it. So either we can put chloroplatinic acid or we can put copper sulfate solution to make the reaction mixture reactive. Okay? Now that we've got hydrogen over here, purification of hydrogen is a must. So when we're talking of purification of hydrogen, it is seen that when hydrogen that is going to be prepared, the granule zinc that contains a lot of impurities, and those impurities are those of hydrides of arsenic, phosphorus, H2S, SO2, CO2, etc. Now these impurities, they need to be removed. So how do we remove these impurities? These impurities, they may be removed by taking 3 bottles, right? And we are going to pass this gas which is produced in the laboratory through these 3 bottles. These 3 bottles, they are going to contain, first bottle में there is going to be AgNO3, which is going to remove PH3 and NH3. So in the first bottle we are taking AgNO3, which is removing PH3 and NH3, and also it is going to remove arsenic hydride. ठीक है? In the second bottle we are going to take lead acetate. Lead acetate solution that is going to remove hydrogen sulfide. And in the third bottle we are going to take potassium hydroxide. Potassium hydroxide will remove carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide and oxides of nitrogen. ठीक है? So finally hydrogen, now once all these impurities they have been removed by passing the gas through these 3 bottles. So over here hydrogen which is collected, that is finally passed through P2O5, phosphorus pentoxide, such as to remove final traces of moisture. ठीक है? Because P2O5 that behaves as a dehydrating agent. So this is all what we are going to do today, right? So we've done the similarities, we've done the differences, then we've done the methods of preparation. Properties we will do in our next class.